Kevin Durant joined a very exclusive list. He became the 8th player in NBA history to score 30,000 points. The group that he joined includes LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Wilt Chamberlain. That is a list of the greats of this sport. That is a who's who. You want to tell the story of the NBA? There's your group. That's who needs to be sitting around the dinner table telling stories of the NBA. Those guys right there. And last night, Kevin Durant, with a free throw in the third quarter, joined that list. But just like when Devin Booker became the franchise leading scorer, this moment happened in a Suns loss. Devin Booker against Portland became the team's all-time leading scorer. Happened on the road, happened in a loss. We talked about it, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle because the conversation was you just lost to Portland. You beat Golden State, and then you lost to Portland. And last night, Kevin Durant becomes only the 8th person to join this very exclusive club. And here we are leading the show talking about a loss. The difference between the two is at least this one happened at home so they could take the time during the game, stop, have the big ovation. So it was at least a little more memorable than Devin Booker becoming the franchise leader in points scored. But that is 2 times this year that the Phoenix Suns have had a major milestone happen. And it is a footnote. It is not the lead story. And maybe it should be. But I'm sorry, I think the result of last night's game matters just a little bit more than Kevin Durant reaching 30,000 points. But Kevin Durant joining that elusive group last night, becoming the 8th person to join that group, it also reminded me of something very important. We have taken Kevin Durant's presence here on the Phoenix Suns for granted. I don't know if we recognize that one of the all-time greats of this game is currently playing for the Phoenix Suns, and at least as of a couple of weeks ago, we'll see how the rest of the season chooses to play out, wanted to finish his career with the Phoenix Suns. All the talk at the beginning of the year was that Kevin Durant, at the end of this year, wanted to sign an extension onto his current deal and end his career with the Phoenix Suns. That's where we started this year. That guy, one of only 8 players in NBA history to score 30,000 points, one of the all-time greats, wanted to finish his career here in Phoenix, wanted to give the rest of his career to the Phoenix Suns. We've taken that for granted. I think we've forgotten how special Kevin Durant is. Now, please, do not take that as a personal attack. I don't think you are taking Kevin Durant for granted. I'm certainly not taking Kevin Durant's special ability for granted. It's not because of the way we've acted. It's because of the team's performance. Because instead of constantly marveling at the greatness that is Kevin Durant and constantly talking about Kevin Durant leading this team to holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy for the first time and getting this franchise a championship. Instead of that, instead of talking about the greatness that is Kevin Durant, we're talking about a team that is below 500. We're talking about a team that is out of the playoff picture. That since Kevin Durant has gotten here, has had one playoff win, series win, I should say, and last year got swept out of the playoffs. The team's performance, the lack thereof, has forced us to forget the greatness that we are supposed to be watching. Kevin Durant is an all-time great. We should be enjoying watching an all-time great even at 36 years old, even at 37 years old, even if he ended his career here and wasn't the same guy that he was in Oklahoma City, in Golden State, in Brooklyn, the start of his tenure here in Phoenix, even if the skills deteriorate or the consistency deteriorates and he's not the same player, this is an all-time great that we are supposed to be enjoying, and we can't. And last night, it certainly wasn't his fault. He led the way. Needed 26 going into the night. He finished with, 34 in the game last night? It certainly wasn't his fault that they lost to Memphis. It's certainly not all his fault that they're 26-27. But instead of talking about his greatness, we're talking about, or at least we were, trade rumors, what the summer is going to hold, and overall, the disappointment that has been Kevin Durant's tenure here in Phoenix. 2 years ago, when they traded for Kevin Durant, is this what everybody envisioned it was going to look like? Is this what we thought the conversations would be like for 2 consecutive years? It has been a constant question of, can this team do more? Can this team reach their potential? And so last night, Kevin Durant getting to 30,000 points, being a footnote in a loss, is truthfully the Phoenix Suns experience in 2025. The opposite result last night, the Suns winning when Kevin Durant reaches 30,000 points, would have been an outlier. It would have been counter to everything that we have seen from this team. Just like Devin Booker becoming the all-time franchise scorer, just like when Booker dropped 70, just like all those moments that are associated with losses, this one gets added to the list. And an era of basketball that was supposed to be about crossing the ultimate bridge, crossing the final bridge for the Phoenix Suns. Last night, I'm watching Kevin Durant get to 30,000 points, and I look at the score bug, and I see a Phoenix Suns team that is currently losing the basketball game, and I just threw my hands up, and I said to myself, this is just quintessential Suns basketball right now. That this moment is happening while the Suns are trying to claw back from being down 13 points in the second half, 12 points at halftime, whatever it was. This can't be a celebratory moment because they're trying to win a basketball game and they're not doing that great of a job. The greatness of Kevin Durant may be wasted here because we all know what the summer is trending towards being for this team. We both know, you and I, that as of right now, it would be more likely than not that Kevin Durant gets traded. It's more likely than not, as we sit here right now, that Kevin Durant is not going to be a member of the 25-26 Phoenix Suns. That this 29 games and whatever the postseason looks like is going to be the final run for Kevin Durant here in Phoenix. And if it goes down the path that it's all going down, it would be greatness taken for granted. Why is a team that has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on it and Bradley Beal, coached by a championship-winning coach, why is that team 1 game below 500? Why is that team out of the playoffs right now? Why did that team get swept in the first round last year? This team's performance has made us not be able to enjoy Kevin Durant's greatness. He had a great performance last night. He got to 30,000 points, only the 8th player ever to do it. And yet all I can think about today is how they lost and they're on the outside looking in of the playoff race. And maybe I should be able to find a little more nuance in life to be able to celebrate that while also talking about the loss. But it's just another example of this team having a great moment, but it being a footnote in a loss. And so it's hard to ignore that. It's hard to ignore that these things in Suns lore have happened while they were losing or while they were underperforming. And this team has underperformed over and over and over again in this era. And so when we look back at the Kevin Durant era in Phoenix, are we going to remember that this is the place where he got to 30,000 points? Or are we going to remember all of the miscues, all of the missed opportunities, the failures, the not even sniffing the Western Conference Finals, getting nowhere close to the NBA Finals? Is that how we're going to remember this era? So when I say that we have taken Kevin Durant for granted, the point I am making is, for whatever reason, this team with Kevin Durant, one of the all-time greats, has been unable to hold up their end of the bargain. They have been unable to break through with the talent that they have. And so it is going to be looked back as a disappointment and nothing else. 480-864-1060 is the phone number if you want to hop in here today. We've got spring training underway. You've got pitchers and catchers reporting today. The Suns were in action last night. Kevin Durant gets to 30,000 points. Haven't even mentioned him yet. We will at some point. Bol last night. I can't go the whole hour without mentioning Bol being in the starting lineup and the performance that he had. Don't worry, everybody. We'll get to that as well. And oh, by the way, there's another basketball game tonight. Suns are right back in action tonight, as all of the teams are in action tonight. I had a chance to sit down, look at some of the other teams' games tonight. I noticed everybody in action tonight.